Hello everybody, Francis here. This is going to be the first in a long series of videos, and this is essentially my campaign diary. The party started out in prison. I really wanted this second campaign to be different versus the previous campaign. And I wanted it to be a little bit grittier, a little bit more combat heavy. So that's why you saw a lot of, I guess, bloodthirst, so to say. When the party met in prison, I introduced a new mechanic called the Consorts. They met two characters. One is Marlin, a halfling rogue, and the other is Lars, the level 0 fighter. So the way Consorts works, and if you've seen Strongholds, and if you've read Strongholds and Followers by Matt Colville, I'll put a link somewhere so that you can check it out. It's pretty good. I kind of tried to make a simplified mechanic of what he did for his book, and that was essentially, when you meet other people in the world, you have other people who are also adventurers, also people who can essentially help the party. And I thought this was a great time to introduce that fact, because this party, we have Barbarian, Wizard, Sorcerer, Blood Hunter, and Ranger. And that's all 5. Presence of it is just to give the party some chances and reward them for recruiting certain people, making certain decisions. This, I know the roleplay aspect didn't really play out in this session, but that's mainly because, we haven't played D&D in over a month, and honestly, a lot of my mistakes last night in the campaign was pretty warranted. It's hard to keep track of a lot. I completely forgot, so it's okay. This will be hopefully better as the weeks progress. So the party started in prison. They talked to each other about how they're going to get out, and with Marlin leading the party, he brought them to what he presumes to be the front entrance. Essentially they fought their way out the front door. However, as soon as they entered out, Lars, who is the NPC fighter, he opened the door, and all of a sudden the captain pulls out this large shotgun-like contraption and blows his head off, dealing 3d12 points of damage. And that was to introduce guns to the world, because they're playing in the future of my world where guns have been created, and they have been used as a way for the captains and the higher ups to essentially reclaim their power, so to say. Guns are a little bit different from like a gunslinger would. Thankfully, I don't have any gunslingers in this party. The way it works is you shoot and roll to attack. You add your dex modifier, but then when you actually deal damage, you only use the the damage die that it comes with, kind of like a spell. And the way that works is, when you have a lot of characters that use bows and crossbows, it is a way to make sure that, he's so good with a bow, he can shoot faster than a bullet. And I think it's a way to balance the combat when you're using a bow and arrow versus a gun, because when the party continued fighting, they actually became super scared because they were worried that they were worried that he's just going to reload and then fire again. But in actuality, these weapons are not master crafted, at least that one wasn't, to fire more than once. And that's why when he dropped it, I made it a point that guns are dangerous and you can still win. However, they hurt a lot. And part of me kind of thinks that maybe I was a little bit too upfront, like I directly said the damage. Maybe I could have just skipped that part and then just described how Lars's head just blew off and that was it. Or maybe that would have been better or worse. I really don't know. But an aside, that's the way how guns worked. Marlin decides to run. Consorts have minds of their own. They do not, like, they are willing to help the party, and in the prison when they were planning, Marlin said to the party that we are allies until there's a better time, until we go our separate ways. And I gave my players that option of rolling high or low because I wanted there to be some sort of simplistic morale base for the consort, because essentially it gives the players some power into how morale works in this game. And like I said, I wanted this game to be very combat heavy. When I pitched the campaign to them, I told them this choice was very tactics heavy. So I believe that accomplished what I was going for. After that, they went into town, and during this time, I really just, as a DM, I tried to sit back and let them talk it out, because I noticed a lot during especially the first parts of the session, that the players, as much as, we know each other, our characters don't. And we have two shy characters, which is Kate and Libby. And Libby's more weird than quiet. We have a barbarian that isn't very social. He's definitely not a voice of reason. We have a goblin who, in this world, goblins are looked upon very strangely, and sometimes even killed on sight, depending on where you go. And I told Geeb this beforehand, and he knew that he wasn't going to be a voice of reason either. So that leaves Itan, our human ranger, strength-based ranger. So, it's really weird because Michael himself has never been in a leadership role. So having him now in a leadership role is super crazy, because this party is so different compared to the beginning of the 5 stars. And I think as time progresses and people really begin to understand what their characters are doing and what they're doing, I think that hopefully over time it'll get better. And that's how it was. So they stay in town, they talked a little bit, and then they decide to stick as a team, and they decide to go eastward. When the party was in the tavern, I had this, not panic, but I had the thought in my head where it is actually possible for the party to just completely sideways, because I was expecting, or I was not expecting, but I was hoping that John Frederick, the former knight turned adventurer, will tell the party what more about what he's trying to do and whatnot. However, he was not as connective to the party as I hoped he would be, which is a shame, honestly. But Ethan picked up that what he was trying to say, and it wasn't just my party zoning out and just not even knowing or caring about the NPC that's trying to give them a mission. I have ideas of what they could have done otherwise that I'm not going to say in case my players are watching this. However, I do think I've come across this time around that they need more time to work together as a group, and that prompted them to head eastward and go towards Neil. So they go eastward and then they camp for the night. Travel is a little bit funky. They had an encounter with an owl bear, and I've been wanting to use this creature for a really long time. I really wanted to get the mini too, but unfortunately, because it's online, we have to stick with what we got. The owl bear is probably one of my favorite starter creatures that I haven't used. It's sort of in that category. DMs know what I'm talking about. When it comes to that owl bear encounter, I was surprised how mortal the party is, because I'm still used to them, having like absurdly high stats. And, a couple of people went down. They didn't buy any health potions or any healing supplies. And they rescued Zalim Ustabi, who is going to be a very important character in the upcoming sessions, because he, without giving any spoilers, he is let's just say he is a very important member of society. And that's putting it lightly, because he seems like a bit of a loser, but Zalim knows a little bit about medicine. I mean, he was a traveling merchant. He's one of my favorite NPCs that is kind of a not obnoxious but oblivious character, that he's there with the party to help the party, but he's not outlandish or extravagant or boastful. And I think that's going to be interesting playing him, and hopefully you guys will enjoy him as well, and so as my players. So that's it with my unscripted this is my unscripted campaign diary. I hope that you enjoyed watching and found this a little bit insightful. I'm using my camera today. I haven't used this for a very long time, so I hope that I've been in focus for the whole 18 minutes of doing so. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. I will see you in a few days with Saturday's episode. So, bye guys.